Hi there, folks. Welcome to today's episode. You may notice this is a little bit different setting than usual. I'm in my rocking chair with my feet up. The good news is I got this cool new microphone and I've given it a test and it sounded pretty good. So we're going to use it for today's episode and hopefully it sounds at least as good for the episode as it did for the test. The good news with the new microphone, the lesser news is I'm feeling a little rocky today. So not going to do much face on screen today. I have this and I think I've arranged everything where I can just run pictures for you and hopefully not have to do too much editing. So we'll see how it goes. I'm not going to do closing remarks either, so I'll just go ahead and say, have a wonderful day and see you tomorrow. But for now, let's get into today's episode. Hi there, and welcome to This Day in History for January 29th. January 29th is the 29th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, with 336 days remaining to the end of the year, 337 in leap years. Today's word is jejeune. Jejeune is an adjective with multiple related meanings. It can describe something that is dull, insipid, or lacking in substance or interest, such as a jejeune argument or a jejeune novel. Additionally, it can characterize someone or something as naive, simplistic, or immature, like a jejeune understanding of complex issues. Less commonly, it can refer to something that is lacking in nutritional value. Example sentences might be, the lecture was so jejeune that many attendees struggled to stay awake. Or, his jejeune perspective on the matter betrayed his inexperience. Etymologically, jejeune comes from a Latin word that means empty, barren, or fasting. This connection to emptiness and barrenness explains its use to describe things lacking substance, nourishment, or depth. The word was first recorded in English in the early 1600s, originally referring to fasting or lack of food, before expanding its meaning to include figurative barrenness or lack of richness in thought or style. By the 17 and 1800s, jejeune gained its modern connotations of dullness and immaturity, solidifying its place in discussions of ideas, personalities, and creative works. The word jejeune was suggested by Odyssey viewer at Easy9. Thanks, Easy9. And if you have a word you'd like to suggest for Word of the Day, drop it in the comments. We'll take a look at it. And with that, Kansas was admitted to the Union as a state on January 29, 1861. It's located pretty much right in the middle of the contiguous United States. In fact, the geographic center of the contiguous United States is in Smith County near Lebanon, Kansas. The geographic center of Kansas itself is in Barton County. Americans were moving west across the continent in the 1800s and established Fort Leavenworth in 1827, the first non-indigenous settlement in Kansas, the second oldest active United States Army post west of Washington, D.C., and the oldest permanent settlement in Kansas. The region was officially open to settlement in the 1850s. Issues around the question of slavery were a thing about then, and along with plenty of debate between abolitionists and pro-slavery, some of that debate involved the question of if Kansas were to become a state, would it be a free state or a slave state? And the answer to that question is that Kansas did become the 34th state on January 29, 1861, and they did so as a free state. Kansas is the 15th largest by area, 36th most populous state, 10th least densely populated. Kansas nicknames are the Sunflower State, the Wheat State, America's Heartland, and the Free State. The name Kansas comes from a word that the Algonquins called the Quapaw people, and it's said to mean people of the south wind, although the original word's meaning may have evolved from its original meaning. That does sound nice, though, people of the south wind. Topeka is the capital city of Kansas. Wichita is its largest city. Kansas state flower is the wild sunflower. State bird is the western meadowlark, and the state tree is the plains cottonwood. State mammal of Kansas is the American bison. Happy Kansas Day, Kansas. Now, even though the state of Kansas state song is Home on the Range, I can't think of Kansas without thinking of the band named Kansas, which of course leads to thinking about some of their music. They actually did form up in Topeka, Kansas back in 1973. They gained prominence in the 1970s with hits like Carry On, Wayward Son and Dust in the Wind. Kansas has released 16 studio albums with notable works such as Left Overture in 1976 and Point of No Return in 1977. They continue to tour and produce music, and holy cow, celebrated their 50th anniversary in 2023. So let's talk about Kansas' first big hit, Carry On Wayward Son. This one was written by Carrie Livgren, and it became the band's first top 40 hit, reaching number 11 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100 in early 1977. The song has since become a classic rock staple and a signature piece for Kansas and gets a good bit of play in popular culture. An inspiring piece with great harmonies and a quintessential rock sound. Carry On, Wayward Son by Kansas. Link in the description. And I think that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with a link in your email, messaging, or social media. If you enjoy this series, you can check out the playlist that contains these videos. I'll put a link to that in the description. That playlist lives on YouTube, so for other platforms, I'll include a link to my blog page. It's called No Really. You can also find me on Rumble, BitChute, and Odyssey. All those links in that description. Alrighty, that's all I can think of right now. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.